They called it the deal of the decade, a contract so jaw-dropping, so life-altering, that most players would have said yes before the ink even dried. £650,000 a week, private jets, a luxury villa waiting in Riyadh, unlimited bonuses, endorsements lined up before a medical was even done, a global campaign already drafted by the club, and the crown jewel of the offer, the captain's armband, the promise that Victor Osimhen wouldn't just be a player in Saudi Arabia, he'd be the face of it. And yet, he said no, no thank you, no interest. No explanation, not just silence, the kind of silence that makes headlines, that sparks rumors, that rattles agents and club executives who thought they had it all figured out. Because in a summer where some of football's biggest names, Neymar, Benzema, Conte, Mahrez, all traded their European dreams for Middle Eastern millions, Victor Osimhen went in the opposite direction. He didn't even entertain the offer. He didn't need time to think. It wasn't a bidding war. It wasn't a negotiation tactic. It was a cold, calculated refusal. And for the world watching, it made no sense. Why would a 25-year-old striker coming off a breakout season, recovering from injury setbacks, still fighting for global recognition, turn down a deal that would have made him one of the highest-paid athletes on earth? That kind of money changes families, changes generations. For a boy who once sold sachet water on the streets of Lagos just to survive, who lost his mother before his 10th birthday, whose brother gave up his own dreams so he could chase his, this kind of wealth wasn't just opportunity, it was everything he never had. And still, he walked away. But why? The media didn't have answers, only guesses. Maybe he wants to stay in Europe. Maybe he's waiting for Chelsea. Maybe it's a pride thing. The Twitter debates raged. Was he foolish? Noble, misguided, brave? What they didn't understand, what most people still don't understand, is that for Victor Osimhen, this decision was never about football. It was about something deeper, something older than contracts and stadiums and screaming fans. It was about legacy. See, to understand Osimhen's silence, you have to go back, not to Napoli, not even to Leo, but to a small apartment in Osimhen in Lagos, where rats ran across the floors and dinner was often skipped because there simply wasn't enough to go around, where football wasn't just a game, it was hope, a chance to climb out, to break the curse, to change the story. And in that world, Victor didn't dream of Bentleys or golden thrones. He dreamed of Europe, of wearing the shirts of legends, of hearing the Champions League anthem, not from a TV screen, but from the tunnel. So when the Saudis came knocking, offering him everything he once thought he wanted, it wasn't temptation he felt. It was clarity, because deep down, he remembered why he started. And that's the part the world forgot. They saw a market. He saw a market. He saw a mirror, a reflection of what he could become if he gave in too early. A millionaire, yes, but also a name fading in the shadows of commercial football, forgotten by European fans, written off by critics, disconnected from the very path that made him great. He watched what happened to others, stars who once lit up Madrid, Manchester, and Milan, now playing half-full stadiums while chasing empty applause. Big checks, small purpose. Victor S. didn't want to become one of them. Not yet. And so, when the final offer came in, dressed in gold and drowning in zeros, he didn't hesitate. No press release, no Instagram post, just a word passed to his agent. No. And with that single word, he set himself apart. In a football world obsessed with more money, more followers, more power, Victor Osimhen became a man who chose less in order to find something greater. But the question now is, if he doesn't want the money, what does he want? That answer is coming. And when you hear the real reason why Victor Osimhen walked away from football's richest offer, it won't just surprise you. It will change how you see him forever. The world measured the offer in pounds and promises, but Victor Osimhen measured it in something entirely different: purpose. In an era where footballers are brands, where loyalty is rare and legacy often sold for a quick paycheck, his decision echoed like a whisper of resistance. It wasn't just a no to Saudi Arabia, it was a yes to something far more sacred, the unfinished dream of a young boy from Lagos who still believes in magic. You see, Osimhen didn't grow up wanting to be rich. He grew up wanting to matter, to leave a mark, not just as a goal machine, but as a symbol of hope, of perseverance, of someone who refused to let circumstances define his destiny. And he knew that legacy can't be bought, it must be built, brick by brick, season by season, against the odds and under the pressure of expectations that would crush most men. Victor Osimhen had come too far to take a shortcut now, because for him, Europe wasn't just a football destination. It was the final battlefield, the only place where legends are born and remembered. That's why he stayed, not because the money wasn't tempting. It was. Not because he couldn't use it, he could not, but because deep inside he understood something. Most players forget once they touch fame, money can feed your family, but it can't feed your soul. The soul of a striker who still remembers crying at night because he didn't have shoes to train in. The soul of a young man who saw his mother die when he was just a child, who watched his brother sacrifice his own career so Victor could chase his. The soul of someone who once told a reporter in Nigeria, "If I ever make it, I make it the right way." He meant every word. And now, as billionaires line up with their checkbooks, as Saudi clubs throw yachts and kingdoms at his feet, Osimhen stays rooted in his own code, his own compass, because he's chasing something rarer than wealth. He's chasing immortality. He wants to play in the Champions League final. He wants to lift a Ballon d'Or. He wants to hear his name whispered in the same breath as Drogba, Eto'o, Wio. We not just because he was good, but because he never sold his dreams short. And here's the twist most people missed. Osimhen wasn't just rejecting Saudi Arabia. He was sending a message to Europe. To Chelsea, to Real Madrid, to Manchester United. He was saying, if you believe in me, now is the time. Not when I'm 30, not when I'm broken, but now when I'm burning with fire and ready to conquer. Because he knows the truth. He's not waiting for a payday. He's waiting for a project, a mission, a platform that doesn't just want him to sell shirts, but to win titles and rewrite football history. And the truth is, that kind of loyalty is dangerous. Because a man who turns down 650,000 pounds a week, who says no to a life most only dream of, is a man who cannot be bought. He can only be believed in. Victor Osimhen has thrown down the gauntlet, not with his voice, but with his silence, not with flash, but with focus. And as the football world wakes up to what he just did, a question hangs in the air. Who will step up to meet him at his level? Not financially, but spiritually. Not in offers, but in vision. Not with castles, but with conviction. Because in a game overflowing with greed, one man reminded us all why we fell in love with football in the first place. Not for the money, but for the moments. And Victor Osimhen, bold, quiet, relentless Victor, is still chasing the moment of a lifetime.